Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, you fantastic people wherever you are. Welcome to Chibi Reads Reddit. I'm your host, Chibi99. Today's subreddit is r/Am I the Dingus. So sit back, get cozy, grab a drink, and let's read. Am I the dingus for telling my wife she's freaking wrong and that my mom is right? I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 32 female, for 5 years. We've been struggling financially for the past few months. I lost my job about 3 months ago, but while I found part-time work, it doesn't pay nearly as much as before. We had to cut back on a lot of things, but it feels like no matter what we do, we're still living paycheck to paycheck, even pulling from savings. Recently, my mom, 65 female, came over to visit, and she noticed how stressed I was about the money situation. She offered some advice on how we could save money. Things like cutting down on takeout, meal prepping to avoid buying groceries multiple times a week, and switching to cheaper brands. My mom has always been frugal, especially when she was raising me and my siblings on a tight budget. I thought it made sense, especially since we're really trying to save whatever we can. I asked if she was willing to go through our spending and show where we could cut down. My wife agreed with this. She made a whole spreadsheet about our spending, and we are spending way too much on fun stuff. We don't eat Starbucks every day and so on. It also became apparent that most of the fun spending was my wife's. To be honest, my wife didn't take the breakdown well and started arguing with my mom about that her spreadsheet was wrong. She said that my mom's way of doing things is outdated and doesn't work for us. She doesn't want to give up buying organic produce, and she likes having variety in what we eat each week. I try to explain that we need to make some sacrifices if we want to get out of this financial hole. She kept insisting that things weren't as bad as I was making them out to be, and that we just needed to ride it out. My mom left at this point, and we were still arguing, and she told me she can't give up her takeout. She also went on about my mom being wrong. That's when I lost my patience and said, "You're freaking wrong. My mom is right. She managed to raise 3 kids on 1 income, and we can't even cut back on groceries for a few months?" My wife got really upset, saying that I'm being a huge jerk for siding with my mom, and that my mom is outdated. She's barely spoken to me since, and now I'm wondering if I went too far. But the way I see it, we need to be realistic about our situation, and my mom's advice could actually help us get back on track. Dude, you are not the dingus. Your wife needs to stop thinking about what she wants and think about what you guys need. Trust me, I'm going through kind of the same thing myself, so yeah. You are not the dingus, but hopefully your wife gets some help with her spending habits, and she realizes that, think about what you need, not what you want. OP, again, not the dingus. Am I the dingus here for refusing to attend my sister's silent wedding because she's forcing everyone to communicate using only ASL when none of us know it? I know this is going to sound insane, but I need to know if I'm the crazy one here. My 34 male sister, 31 female, is getting married in 2 months, and she's decided to have a silent wedding, which means no one is allowed to speak during the entire wedding. Instead, she expects all the 200 plus guests to communicate using American Sign Language the entire day, but literally no one in the family knows ASL. Now, my sister is not deaf, nor is her fiance, nor any of the immediate family members. She just thought it would be unique and intimate to force all of us to learn a completely new language for her wedding. Her exact words, "It's more inclusive for the deaf community." Reminder, no one in the wedding party is deaf. I told her this is an absolutely absurd idea and that she can't expect hundreds of people to learn a new language just for 1 day of her life. She got furious and said I'm ruining her vision and being ableist by refusing to participate. I told her this is this isn't about ableism. It's about the fact that none of us can communicate in ASL, and that her wedding will be basically just 200 people sitting around silently, confused as hell. She says we have plenty of time to learn the basics, but I'm a busy adult with a full-time job, a family, and, I don't know, hobbies that don't involve learning an entire new language for someone else's Instagram clout. When I told her I might not even come if she doesn't ease up on the ASL only rule, she said I'm being selfish and not supportive of her groundbreaking idea. My parents are on her side, of course, but they think it's cute and creative, and they've already started practicing the alphabet, as if that's going to be enough. Meanwhile, I feel like I'm living in some kind of unhinged dystopian reality where everyone is pretending this is a normal request for a wedding. Am I losing my mind here? It's starting to sound like a quiet place. But we have a relative comment here by the user Pie. I so badly want to attend this wedding just to witness the dumpster fire in person. I will wager a good sum of money that people get frustrated and start talking within 10 minutes of the ideas being said. Anyway, not the dingus, because attending a wedding is about supporting a relationship. It is not about being part of someone's vision or aesthetic or whatever idiocy people are picking up from social media. And the pie is right. I don't know where your sister came up with this idea, but if this is going to happen, you might want to warn the other guests. So, OP, not the dingus, you don't need to attend the wedding if you don't want to, but I hope your sister realizes that maybe using ASL for a silent wedding isn't a good idea. Am I the dingus for leaving my husband at the hospital after he refused to be in the delivery room with me? This happened 2 months ago, but it's still causing major friction in my family, so I need some outside opinions. I, 29 female, and my husband, Jake, 32 male, have been together for 6 years, married for 3. We were both ecstatic when we found out when we were expecting our first child. Pregnancy was tough for me, though. I had severe morning sickness, gestational diabetes, and was generally miserable. But Jake was supportive and sweet through the whole way through, which made it bearable. As we got closer to my due date, we discussed birth plans. I was adamant that I wanted Jake in the delivery room. I needed his support, and he'd always agreed. However, a few weeks before my due date, Jake started acting strange. He was distant, distracted, and wouldn't engage in any baby-related discussions. I thought he was just anxious about becoming a dad, so I didn't press him too much. Where is this going? The day I went into labor, Jake drove me to the hospital, but seemed off. He was quiet and kept checking his phone. When we got there, he pulled the nurse aside and spoke to her privately. She came back and told me Jake wouldn't be in the delivery room because he was uncomfortable with blood and medical procedures. I was stunned. He never mentioned this before. I begged him to stay and told him I needed him, but he just kept saying, "I can't do this." I was heartbroken and furious, but I didn't have much time to dwell on it as my contractions were getting stronger. Jake said he'd be in the waiting room and kissed me on the forehead before leaving. I was left alone crying and feeling utterly abandoned. Labor was long, painful, and traumatic. I was alone the entire time except for the medical staff. When our son was finally born, I was exhausted, emotionally and physically. The nurse handed me my son, and all I felt was a deep sadness that Jake wasn't there to share this moment. After I was taken to a recovery room, I asked the nurse to get Jake. She came back and said that he'd left the hospital hours ago. I couldn't believe it. I called him repeatedly, but he didn't answer. Finally, I sent him a text saying I was done and that he could find his own way home. I didn't see him until the next day. He showed up at the hospital with flowers and an apology saying he panicked and needed some air. He claimed he'd gone home to shower and change and he fell asleep, which I didn't buy for a second. I told him I didn't believe him. I was overwhelmed with anger and hurt, and I told him that he had let me down in the worst possible way. He kept apologizing, saying that he knew he messed up and he'd do anything to make it right. I didn't want him near me or our son at the moment, so I asked him to leave. He tried to protest, but I told him that I need to process everything. he left, and I spent the rest of my hospital stay alone with my baby, trying to grapple with the enormity of what had happened. Since then, Jake has been trying to make amends. He's been taking parenting classes, attending therapy, and is constantly trying to be present and supportive. But I can't shake this feeling of betrayal. He abandoned me at one of the most vulnerable moments of my life. Every time I look at him, I remember being alone in that delivery room, terrified and in pain, wondering why the person who promised to be by my side wasn't even there. My family is split. Some think I'm being too hard on Jake, and that he made a mistake and is clearly remorseful. They say that he's a good father and partner otherwise, and I should focus on moving forward for the sake of our child. Others think what he did was unforgivable and I should leave him. They believe I'll never fully trust him again, and that's no foundation for a marriage. I'm torn. I do still love him, and I know he loves me and our son, but part of me wonders if I'll ever get over this. Was it just a moment of weakness on his part, or a sign of something deeper that I can't overlook? So, am I the dingus for leaving him at the hospital, and now consider leaving him for good? OP, I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah, I don't think you'll be able to trust Jake again. Because he promised to be there, and he just left you up like high and dry. And for a second, I'm not buying that whole, I went home, took a shower and passed out and didn't hear my phone. I think something else is going on here. You're not the dingus, and hopefully you figure things out. Am I the dingus for not forcing my son to be friends with his step-cousins? I found out my wife had an affair with my brother, Tyler, and left me for him turning Tyler's kids from cousins to step-cousins. I discovered this when my son, Ruslan, was 5. We divorced, and it was finalized when he was 7. It took a while because his mom tried to pull a lot of stunts to take him away from me and to claim my assets. But thankfully, it didn't work. After the divorce, I got 50-50 custody. Ruslan's relationship with Tyler and his kids has deteriorated. I tried telling him not to be mad at his cousins and made sure he knew it. He knew it wasn't their fault. I knew he understood, but he still had a lot of emotions about it. It started slowly. He didn't talk to them as much as at gatherings and only stuck to me and my wife, Irina. Then came arguments between them and fights. The biggest one was over one of Ruslan's toys, and he didn't want to share, which was normal for kids. They kept pushing him, and he broke down in tears, saying that they had already stolen his mom. What more did they want? Oof, that kind of pulls at the heartstrings there a little. Poor kid. We left early, as per my wife's suggestion. We put him in therapy. He revealed to her that he felt like his biological mom had put him second to his cousins and treated them better than him. He said he overheard a conversation between Tyler and his mom, where Tyler said he didn't want Ruslan at their home anymore, and his mom agreed. I had a talk with his mom and told her I wanted to change custody to have him full time. She agreed quickly, and I was heartbroken seeing my son abandoned like that. But at least he had me and Irina now. Ruslan is now 13 and has gotten significantly better without Tyler and his family around as much. Yesterday, my other brother came to pick up some tools I was lending him, and he brought my nephew, from Tyler, with him. I didn't think much of it and greeted him. I went downstairs to get the tools, which took a while to find. When I came back upstairs, my nephew was quiet and my brother was visibly upset. I asked him what was wrong, and my brother said that Ruslan had come from downstairs and greeted him and completely ignored my nephew's presence. My nephew then asked me if Ruslan is always going to be mad at him. I told him I talked to Ruslan, but I didn't think that they would really have a relationship again. I wasn't cold about it. I was just honest. My nephew started crying and left to go to the car. My brother said that I was a jerk and that I needed to fix Ruslan's attitude. I don't think I was wrong. They really won't have the relationship they had before, and it's not like I can force my son to have a relationship with them. It's not like he's bullying them or anything. My wife is on my side, but my family isn't, which is making me doubt myself. Am I the dingus? We have a relevant comment here by Pitful Jackfruit 739. Not the dingus. Sally, your ex-wife made a decision, and everyone has to bear the consequences. Your son is allowed to feel the way he does, and it should be his choice if he wants to have a relationship with his step-cousins or not. It is his right as an individual. He is human, not a robot. Maybe when he's older, he will be able to decide differently. However, you shouldn't push him to accept them just for the sake of family, quote-unquote. Your ex-wife was/is extremely selfish. And we have one more comment here by Graceland Rocks. It wasn't just the ex-wife's decision. The brother also betrayed OP. Why do people all play stupid games but expect fantastic prizes at the end? And I'm going to agree with Graceland Rocks here. Yeah, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. OP, you're not the dingus. Neither is your son. Hope he's doing okay in therapy, and hopefully the step-cousins now take the hints that he's not going to want to be with them, because he already said they stole his mom. What else do they want? But yeah, the mom just going, yeah, I don't want him anymore. And the brother is like, ugh, disgusting. Again, OP, you and your son aren't dinguses. Hope you both are doing okay. From the Am I the Jerk subreddit, which, by the way, I will link in the description for you guys. Great channel. We have, Am I the Dingus for cutting off my entire family after my brother and girlfriend falsely accused me of assault? Buckle up, this is going to be a doozy. I, 24 male, feel like my life has been ripped apart by the people who were supposed to love me the most. This all started about 6 years ago, and I'm still struggling to come to terms with it. Emily, 24 female, and I have been dating since high school. Our families were that close. Our parents were childhood friends. We grew up together, and I thought I'd end up marrying her. We spent nearly our entire lives side by side, going to the same schools, hanging out with the same friends, even going on family vacations together. She was my first love, and I truly believed we were forever. Then there's my older brother, Alex, 28 male. He's always been the golden child. Smart, charismatic, successful. He was my parents' favorite. But I never thought that would matter until everything fell apart. 6 years ago, Emily accused me of intimately assaulting her. I was completely blindsided. We had been together for years. Why would she say something like that? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then, to make things worse, Alex stepped in, backing her up. He told her parents that he had witnessed me behaving inappropriately towards her at a party. He claimed he had been protecting her, and my parents ate it up. No one believed me. I was horrified, confused, and heartbroken. But my parents didn't even ask for my side of the story. They believed Alex and Emily without question. I was kicked out of the house within days, and the entire community turned its back on me. Emily's family, who had been like a second family to me, also cut all ties. I lost everything. My girlfriend, my family, my reputation. My parents told me that they didn't want to see me again until I got help for something I hadn't even done. I was 18 at the time and had nowhere else to go. I ended up crashing at a friend's place for a while, but emotionally, I was a wreck. I spiraled into depression and alcoholism, using anything I could to numb the pain of being abandoned and falsely accused by the people I trusted the most. For years, I struggled to move on. I changed cities, started therapy, and slowly started rebuilding my life, but the betrayal still haunted me. Dating was nearly impossible because I couldn't shake the feeling that people would turn on me just like Emily and Alex had. My family never reached out, and I never tried to contact them either. I couldn't forgive them for kicking me out based on nothing but lies. Then about 6 months ago, everything changed. One of Emily's old friends, Lisa, who had stopped talking to her after the fallout, reached out to me. She told me that she couldn't live with the guilt anymore, and that she had something to confess. She revealed that Emily and Alex had been in love with each other for years. They had started seeing each other behind my back while we were still together, and when Emily wanted to leave me for Alex, they both came up with a false accusation that as a way to force me out of the picture. Alex knew that if he backed her up, my parents would believe them without a second thought. And guess what? it worked. Emily and Alex got together immediately after I was kicked out. They're now married, and as far as I know, they've built the perfect life while I was left to pick up the pieces of my own. But here's where it gets even more twisted. After Lisa told me the truth, she went to my parents. She couldn't stand knowing the truth anymore, and she wanted them to know that they had thrown away their son for a lie. My parents were shocked. Lisa explained how Alex had manipulated Emily, how they had both set me up to be the scapegoat. My parents reached out to me soon after, begging to meet and talk. They were devastated, crying on the phone, telling me how sorry they were for not believing me. They admitted that they had been blinded by their trust in Alex and their love for Emily. At first, I thought I'd feel some kind of satisfaction from finally being vindicated, but all I felt was anger. It took them 6 years to figure out the truth, and even now they want to fix things, like nothing had even happened. The worst part? They've forgiven Alex and Emily. My parents say that family is family, and that what's done is done. They still love Alex, and they've even welcomed Emily back into their lives. They want us all to reconcile, to put the past behind us and act like the 6 years didn't destroy me. I haven't responded to their latest attempts to reach out. I don't know if I can ever forgive them for what they did. They threw me out based on a lie, abandoned me when I needed the most, and now they want me to just get over it because Alex and Emily are family. So, am I the dingus for cutting off my family even after they found out the truth? We have a relevant comment here by Mile Lil Rain. It's pretty fair to just tell them that as long as they have Alex and Emily in their lives, you don't want to be part of theirs. If they're really sorry, you should disown them and keep them accountable. It's fair. Also, absolutely not the dingus. Whew. Your brother and Emily need help. I'm just glad your parents didn't decide to call the cops. OP, you went through hell. You came out stronger on the other side. And yeah, if you don't want anything to do with your parents, just let them stew. They're not worth your time. Neither is Alex or Emily. Not the dingus. Cheaters never prosper. Hope you're doing okay, bud. Am I the dingus here for wanting some space for my daughter after she believed I was an abuser? Basically, I, 41 male, was accused of intimately assaulting her, 16 female, friend, 17 female. She's known her just over a year, so I've known her about the same amount of time. She tried to kiss me. I turned her down, and as a result, she accused me of raping her. Yeesh. It went on for a few weeks and even went to the police, and it only came out when they were grilling her, and she finally admitted it. She was being assaulted, but it was by her mom's boyfriend, and she went with accusing me because I was the safe option or some crap like that. When my daughter found out at the time and I was being investigated though, she cut me off. Basically didn't even want to talk to me or see me. I tried to pick her up to come over, but she said she didn't even want to see me. My ex wouldn't even let me in the house. Even she believed it. And her brother, my ex-brother-in-law, physically assaulted me and removed me from the house because I wouldn't go until I've seen my daughter. The worst thing is, she blocked me on social media. But before she did, she put a status on her social media just saying some bollocks like, "Believe woman," which freaking hurt. In my daughter's eyes, I was an abuser and I assaulted her friend. Holy crap. And also, I think we're in the UK somewhere because bollocks. So yeah, let's get back to the story. So now it's all come out and I'm cleared. She rang me up just to say she wants to come over to talk. But I said no. I don't think it's a good idea. It hurt me when she didn't believe me. So I want to just think for a bit until I forgive her. My ex then rang saying how hurt my daughter is because I won't forgive her. She tried to apologize too, and I told her I don't accept her apology either. And I don't want to talk to her either. They're not stopping texting me though, and my daughter tried to come over and was banging on my door asking me to come in crying. I pretended I wasn't in. Am I the dingus for wanting some space because I don't know if I can forgive her yet? I had to add because people keep on asking, why were you alone with a 17-year-old? I wasn't really alone with her. They were both staying at my house. I went for a wee in the middle of the night, and she was waiting outside the toilet door and scared me a bit coming out. I laughed it off, and she basically lunged trying to kiss me. I laughed it off, told her no, and went back to bed. I didn't really pay attention to it anymore because, truth be told, I forgot about it. We have a relevant comment here by Wacky Spaz. This happened to me, but the accuser was my friend's now wife who got drunk off her ass, cheated, then told everyone I drugged her and that's why she did it. Blood test proves that she was just drunk while cameras showed her leading some dude into the bar toilet and I was nowhere to be seen. She was dumb enough to post it on social media and police ran a talk screen a day or so later and pulled camera footage. It's been 15 years, and most people that know still believe her because they believe woman, and I'm some predator that drugged her. I threatened legal action. And her and her husband did attempt to apologize once after deleting all social media posts about it. I asked for an equal Facebook post to the one blaming me. They declined. Things got heated, and he got a black eye. I've refused to speak to them or any of my old group of friends since. If the betrayal I felt was anything to go by, and yours was from your own daughter, which would hurt orders of magnitude more, you're not the dingus. Where's the brother-in-law here? That dude I called the cops on. Yeah, OP, not the dingus. You deserve all the time you need to process, and your daughter and ex-wife need to figure it out as well. Also, where is the ex's boyfriend? Because, yeah, that guy, or that lady's boyfriend, because, let's face it, that guy needs the cops called on, and also the brother-in-law needs to know that this happened as well. So yeah, you're not the dingus. Hope everything gets straightened out for you, my friend. And finally, from the Dusty Thunder subreddit, by the way, link in the description, go check out his stuff. He's also got the awesome Candy Thunder with him. We have one juicy story, so buckle up, guys. And it's titled, Am I the Dingus for not making my daughter go to visitation? Maybe I should have used astronaut. Such a fun word. Okay, Chibi, let's read. I, 32 bio mom, have a 15-year-old daughter. I was a teen mom with her bio dad, 33, and needless to say, it has always been a high-conflict co-parenting relationship. There's a lot of history here, but I want to focus on the latest drama. I've been married to my husband, 35, bonus dad, for 3 years, and we've been together for 9 years. He loves and cares for my daughter deeply, and she loves and cherishes him in return. Bio dad is engaged to his fiancée, 28, bonus mom. They've been together for about 10 years and engaged for 5. My daughter really likes bonus mom, and I've spent years trying to make the co-parenting relationship less toxic. Now in an attempt to make this as unbiased as I can, I admit I'm not 100% innocent in creating some of the toxicity. I'm human, and bio dad still knows how exactly to push my buttons. I tried my best not to let my frustration with him affect my daughter. I always tell her my feelings are my own, and that she never has to pick sides. I reminded her that her dad loves her, and that's when she's with him, and bonus mom she needs to respect their rules. That said, bio dad and I do argue and name call, and unfortunately she notices more than she should. We try to keep the fight to a minimum in front of her, but she's a teenager now, and she picks up on more than we realize. We live in Texas, and since my family moved away, military, visitation has been difficult. We live far apart, and visitation happens on the 3rd week of every month and during school breaks. Because of the distance and how visitation is structured, I've only been able to spend a handful of birthdays with her. This will come up later in the story. I'm sensing an M. Night Shyamalan twist coming in somewhere. Bio dad and I have never been in a relationship since she was born. There was too much hurt and distance. She has only ever known the tension between us. But in 2018, after a near-death experience, bio dad seemed to have a change of heart and has been more consistent with visitation. Before that, it was very hit or miss. Since then, she's loved going to see him, enjoying the break from the structure at our house, where I live with my husband, daughter, and our 3 boys, 11, 5, and 1. My daughter is a straight-A student, in the National Junior Honor Society, plays sports, and participates in several after-school clubs. She's an all-around great kid. She helps me out a lot. Not more than a normal amount. But as a mom, I appreciate it. She even does her own laundry because she's particular about how it's done. But I also make sure she has time to be a kid and do her own thing. At her dad's house, however, things are different. Bonus Mom, who's a psychologist/therapist, has often treated my daughter more like a test subject than a stepdaughter. She believes I put too much responsibility on her and thinks I sit around while my daughter does all the work. Bio Dad, on the other hand, has taken the Disneyland dad approach. There are no rules, no bedtime, no chores. His only strict rules are no makeup and no revealing clothes, which is an ongoing point of contention. He's never been comfortable with her wearing shorts or leggings because of her body shape, even though she's just trying to dress for the Texas heat. From 2018 until about 2021, my daughter thought Bio Dad could do no wrong. She loved going to see him, and though she loved Bonus Dad, she often found him too strict. But then, things started to change. She began texting me at like 2 or 3 a.m., saying she was up late because they were at a party. Over time, it became clear that these weren't normal parties. They were gatherings of Bio Dad's friends where they drank, played poker, and beer pong. My daughter was often the only child there. She also told me that Bio Dad got drunk and drove her and Bonus Mom home, even getting into a minor accident, which scared her. When I confronted them, they denied it, but the signs of neglect were growing. My daughter was constantly tired, eating pizza nearly every night, and saying she didn't feel comfortable at their house anymore. Then one summer, things took a turn for the worse. Bonus Mom got pregnant and had severe morning sickness. My daughter ended up having to take care of her because Bio Dad was still going out and partying. There was little food in the house, just expired items and nothing substantial. She felt abandoned by her dad, who wasn't even there on her birthday, and when she asked him to spend the day with her, he refused. By the end of that summer, my daughter was fed up. She'd lost 30 pounds from not being properly fed and constantly taking care of others. When I addressed this with Bio Dad, he deflected, saying she could have cooked for herself. Things hit a breaking point when he forgot about August visitation weekend altogether, even after he confirmed it with me the day before. My daughter told me she didn't want to go back to his house, but I explained that legally, I had to make her go. I've tried everything, CPS, police, but nothing can be done since she's capable of making her own food. Last week was the September visitation, but it was also her homecoming, and she didn't want to go, so I didn't force her. It was also her baby sibling's gender reveal, and when she asked about the baby's gender, they refused to tell her, saying she'd find out when she visited. She felt like they were manipulating her emotions to get her to visit, even though she was still angry with them. I explained to her that as much as I hate it, I have to make her go to visitations unless I can find a legal way to stop them. She understands, but is still furious. So, am I the dingus for letting her skip visitation and the gender reveal? What should I do? I really need some advice. Can't the court just go, yeah, the kid's old enough to choose which parent they want to stay with? Like, for longer? I mean, come on. Her dad's now turned into the biggest dingus, and if her stepmom is treating her more like a test subject, yeah, I wouldn't want her to go back. You're not the dingus, and hopefully everything got straightened out. Looks like we've reached the end of today's video, but fret not, I'll be back tomorrow with more Reddit stories just for you. Want to get notified of the next video? Tap that bell icon. Want to subscribe? Tap the button. It's completely free. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, catch you later, my Chibi Dominators.